welcome to the Escapart podcast. My name is Stuart and thank you as ever for listening. We're going to start off this episode with just a recap on where we are. When I started doing the podcasts well over a year and a half ago now, it was something designed to put my thoughts out there rather than me boring everyone I know senseless by ranting. Hopefully I don't come across as a ranting sort of person. I think I come across in a very measured way, but if I do get on my high horse, I apologise. But the first ever podcast we did contained Harry Houdini speaking into a wax cylinder. It was an Edison way of recording voice, and that dates back to 1914, I believe, off the top of my head. But the thing is that that's the one podcast I still have people emailing me about and complaining about. Not because I've ranted, not because I've said anything unfair or libelous or scandalous or I've given away a secret. It's because I'm using that audio clip of Houdini. Everyone uses that audio clip of Houdini. It is the one clip of Houdini's voice there is in the world that isn't in a private collection owned by Mr. Copperfield. This particular recording is public domain. It has been public domain since before Houdini's death because it needed specific copyright protection under the law at the time, and that was never filed because recording someone's voice was something new and the law hadn't caught up with it at that point. So it's been public domain. Everyone uses it. Everyone samples it. And the thing with that is that because everyone has sampled it, it's appeared in music. Now, this is where things get a little bit, I might start climbing onto a high horse now. I do apologise. But because everyone's used it and because it's appeared in music, this is where we have software that looks for similarities. So if I play something on YouTube that isn't mine, for example, say I chose to play Meatloaf Spat Out of Hell right now. I couldn't then charge money for it because I haven't got performing rights privilege. Basically, I would be making money off of somebody else's work. And to cut a long story short, YouTube would give me the option. They could say, right, we'll put an advert to Meatloaf, his website, his album. We'll put that on your site free of charge, but you're not allowed to make any money from any clicks on your site. So I would not be able to. I don't get an income from doing this podcast, by the way. Please feel free to click on any adverts that do appear. That would be lovely. But right now, I have 20 very nice subscribers. Thank you very much, and about 4,800 views over the last 2 years, which is absolutely wonderful. But I'm not one of the internet darlings. I'm not What Culture. I'm not Wrestle Talk TV. I'm certainly not one of the YouTube channels where people earn fantastical sums of money. Equally, where we are is because I do have the financial system turned on, though. Podcast 1, the first one I put out, keeps getting stopped because of the Houdini dialogue in there. Because it's been used on jazz, it's been used in other forms of music, and the software run by YouTube and other sites picks up on that and go, oh, you're playing something that's copyrighted to somebody else. Yes and no. Yes, their version of it, if I was using their song, you'd be completely right. But all I'm using is Harry Houdini saying, ladies and gentlemen, in introducing my original creation, the water torture cell, I am willing, and goes on to explain everything he does. So that's just explaining why sometimes the first podcast I ever put out is unavailable. It drops off and then comes back in, and then drops off and then comes back in, and drops off and then comes back in. It's because people, the software flags up that, you could be, I could be in breach of the agreement with YouTube in that I'd only put original content up or public domain content. And it's just one of those things. It's not a rant, it's not me getting on a high horse, it's not me being angry, but it is just highlighting the complex nature of intellectual property. And I pay attention to this because I write. I have fictional books. I have published, not under my name, under a pseudonym, but equally I have factual books I've written. I have a lot of work online that is my name. I put a lot of effort into that, and I'm putting a lot of effort, some people know, I'm putting a lot of effort into a project at the moment that if someone were to just copy it without referencing me properly, without paying me what is due, I would be angry. So I have no trouble with people saying this is my intellectual property. What I object to is when it's the fact that this is about the fifth time we've had an email come through from YouTube saying, "Hi everybody, we think you're in breach." And it's like, really? I can just copy and paste the last four, but that's not YouTube's fault. In fact, it's not something that happens to me alone. There was a wonderful web channel who, nice little channel. They film the panels at Collectomania or Comic Con or places like that, and they're respectful. They get permission. And last year they had all their content removed by YouTube because it was said to be an infringement. The people who did it apologised instantly. It was an overzealous junior clerk, I think, in one of the offices, just sent it off automatically without reading what he was ticking, and ended up taking 3 years of excellent content off for a few days. And it highlights just how easy it is to censor. And I understand why we want to censor. I understand why we want to have control of our narratives. It's just when people don't understand that you have the right to use something, or you don't have the right to use something, when people don't respect the law of the land and do their own thing, that way lies madness. But we're a long way off of madness yet. Basically, apologies for making this very long-winded, or for me, which is saying something, but I just wanted to explain why my first podcast drops in and out from time to time. And in a way, it's a good thing, because that shows there's at least 4 independent, unique, artistic uses of Harry Houdini's voice, none of which would we have known about if it hadn't been for YouTube doing its copyright checks. So it's a positive. Harry is still being an influence. This moves me on to an idea, or things to talk about. First thing, some of you know I'm doing a lot of work at the minute on a project that requires an awful lot of writing, which is why I'm very interested in plagiarism and those sorts of things at the moment. Because I've got to Harvard reference everything. I'm doing things I haven't done since my university days, so it's very, very intense at the minute. Second thing is there's a couple of projects coming up, and these are taking my attention, these are keeping me interested, these are keeping me going. But there's one I want to just put out there. I like the idea of us having something a little bit different with escapology. I'm not talking about sort of like world championship of magic, or the greatest circus acts, not that style judged competition, but I would like there to be something to allow us to just put our wares out there, for lack of a better word. And it's something I'm going to have to do myself, because what I would like to compete in doesn't exist. So over the next few weeks and months, I'm going to have to sit down, put my thinking cap on, and just try and work out what it is I would like to see. Because at the moment, I know what I would like to put on, I know what I would like to present, but first of all, you need to have people who are willing to compete, and equally you need to have people willing to come and watch. And if you're going to do something so completely daft and stupid that no one will compete and no one will watch, then you're going to lose your shirt. So what I need to do is take a little bit of a breather, work something out, and then maybe, hopefully, we'll be able to get something out to the escapology community, and hopefully a few of them may be interested. If they're not, then fine. But that's where we are at the minute. I've got a couple of ideas, and they are at the point of almost coming to fruition. So watch this space. Also, watch the channel. The channel will be changing in the next few weeks. I know I keep promising an Envision podcast, and sorry, it will come. But we also have some video. I rolled a frying pan for Chris Berry, who played Rimmer in Red Dwarf, Mr. Brutus in the British Empire, and who is a fantastic vocal artist. He did a lot of the voices for Spitting Image. He is a fantastic person. Had a quick conversation with him. He was absolutely brilliant in letting me do that. Also, got a couple of other things coming up, which there's something happening at the end of May. Not 100% set in stone, but next podcast may well mention it. The reason I don't want to put a jinx on it is if it does happen, it's going to be at a different location. It's going to be something we haven't done before, as well, certainly Escapart hasn't been involved in. But it's something I just want to try. But equally, that until it's done, it isn't done. So that's always a bit of anxiety. Last thing, always big shout out to everyone who's listening. Thank you all for enduring this way of me recording my thoughts. Yes, I am very much aware that this is a bit dry on occasion, but then again, if you're not interested in Star Wars, a Star Wars podcast could be very dry. If you're not interested in Robot Wars, that could be very dry. Yes, one last thing. There is hopefully a book coming out on the world records I did. I'm typing it now. If I can get through it, because it's a lot of recollections. Some of it's all good, but it's bringing back how much it hurt, and it hurts a lot. It hurt on the day, the physical ones, even the escapes. They hurt. They hurt in training when you pinch your skin. They hurt when you pull a ligament. It hurts not getting up, not being able to get to the phone to take that phone call. It hurts not being able to go out because of the training schedule. It hurts because you're injured. It hurts because you can't walk up the stairs. It hurts because you can't tell anyone. All of those little bits of pain. And reflecting on it for the first time means that I'm aware of how much it hurt inside. And again, it's a bit like I'm not saying this to say worries me. I've got 12 world records. I really unfortunate. I'm not trying to say that at all. I'm just trying to say that because I did it at the time, I was so focused on doing it, I didn't get to enjoy it. And I enjoyed being there. I enjoyed getting the certificate, but I didn't get to enjoy the view. I didn't get to enjoy seeing all the people who turned up to say, "Hey, well done." I didn't get to enjoy being there. Somebody once said it best: the only difference between climbing and falling is the order you see the scenery. And I'm finally getting to see the scenery in the right order, and that's a good thing. So, to everyone who came along, if you ever hear this, some of you never will, because you're no longer with us, and I miss you so much. But if you were there, be it at Flights for the first two, George's Gym in Love Lane for how many of it? 3 of the 4 others. George's Gym in Battlesbridge when it moved, as well. Whether you're at Adventure Island when we set the new one back then, whether you're at Magic at the Barn, thank you all. Thank you all for the miles. Thank you all for the time. Thank you. Because although I said it at the time, I genuinely want you to know how much I appreciated everything you've done. And I'm just apologetic if it never came across. And that's it. I think I've bored you all senseless for how many minutes have we gone? Oh my goodness, we're nearly at 16 minutes in, and all I've said is sorry for most of this podcast. So thank you for listening. Enjoy. Please, if you're online, do listen to the radio show I do, which is the Mystery Show on Chelmsford Community Radio 104.4 FM, or online, and you'll hear a very interesting selection of music. But more importantly, thank you for enduring. We've got a couple of other ideas coming up, but for the most part, that's where we are, and hopefully we'll get some videos up this week. So thank you for listening. Enjoy.